Jayden Dumont was a young man on the cusp of stardom. His journey was one of passion, dedication, and an unyielding love for music. From a very young age, Jayden was captivated by the rhythms and beats of hip-hop, and he knew that music was his calling. At only 18 years old, he had already begun to make a name for himself in the competitive world of hip-hop. His early exposure to music came from his family, who always had a diverse range of genres playing in their home. This eclectic mix of sounds influenced Jayden's unique style. Hailing from Broward County, Florida, Jayden adopted the stage name Jaydes and began releasing music that resonated with fans across the internet. Broward County, known for its vibrant culture and rich musical history, provided the perfect backdrop for Jayden's artistic development. The streets, the people, and the everyday struggles of life in Broward County were all reflected in his music. His unique sound and raw talent hinted at a promising future in the music industry. Jaydes' ability to blend different musical elements set him apart from his peers. He wasn't just another rapper, he was an artist with a vision, someone who could see beyond the conventional boundaries of hip-hop. Jaydes' music was a reflection of his life experiences growing up in South Florida. The challenges he faced, the triumphs he celebrated, and the lessons he learned were all woven into the fabric of his songs. His music was a diary, a personal account of his journey through life. He blended elements of hip-hop, plug, and shoegaze, creating a sonic landscape that was both familiar and entirely his own. This fusion of genres allowed him to create a sound that was innovative and refreshing. Jaydes was not afraid to experiment, to push the boundaries of what hip-hop could be. His lyrics were often introspective and honest, exploring themes of love, loss, and the struggles faced by young people growing up in marginalized communities. Jaydes had a way of capturing the raw emotions of his experiences and translating them into powerful verses that resonated with his audience. As Jaydes' music spread online, he began to gain a loyal following. His fans were not just listeners, they were a community, a group of people who found solace and inspiration in his music. Jaydes' ability to connect with his audience on a personal level was one of the key factors in his rising popularity. His songs racked up millions of streams on platforms like SoundCloud, and he quickly became one of the most talked about up-and-coming artists in the underground rap scene. The internet played a crucial role in Jaydes' rise to fame, allowing him to reach a global audience and share his music with the world. Fans were drawn to his authenticity, his vulnerability, and his ability to capture the complexities of life in his music. Jaydes' journey was just beginning, but it was clear that he was destined for greatness. His story was a testament to the power of music and the impact it can have on people's lives. Just as Jaydes' star was beginning to rise, tragedy struck. On November 2, 2024, police were called to a residence in Broward County in response to a domestic disturbance. When they arrived, they found a young woman who had been brutally attacked. The victim, who was later identified as Jaydes' ex-girlfriend, had sustained multiple stab wounds to her neck, back, and arms. According to police reports, the victim had gone to Jaydes' home on the night of the attack to retrieve some of her belongings. The two had recently ended their relationship, and the meeting was intended to be brief and amicable. However, things quickly escalated when Jaydes allegedly became enraged and attacked the victim with a box cutter. The victim managed to escape from the house and call 911 from a neighbor's phone. She was rushed to the hospital, where she underwent emergency surgery for her injuries. Meanwhile, Jaydes fled the scene before police arrived. He was identified as a suspect in the attack, and a warrant was issued for his arrest. Section 4. The night of the attack. The events leading up to the attack remained shrouded in mystery. The night was calm, the city streets bathed in the soft glow of streetlights, unaware of the storm brewing within the walls of a modest apartment. What began as a seemingly routine encounter between ex-lovers quickly spiraled into a violent confrontation. The air was thick with unresolved emotions and the tension was palpable. According to the victim's statement to police, she had gone to Jaydes' home at around 8 p.m. on the night of the attack. She had hoped for a simple exchange, a quick retrieval of her belongings. She had called him earlier in the day to arrange a time to pick up some clothes and other personal items that had been left at his house. The conversation had been brief, devoid of any hint of the turmoil that was to come. When the victim arrived at Jaydes' home, he invited her inside. His demeanor was calm, almost welcoming, as if he had no intention of letting the evening descend into chaos. The two sat down in the living room and began to talk. The initial conversation was light, touching on mundane topics, a stark contrast to the storm that was about to erupt. At first the conversation was cordial, but it soon became clear that there were unresolved tensions between them. The air grew heavy with unspoken words and lingering resentments. The victim told police that Jaydes seemed agitated and that he kept asking her about her new boyfriend. His questions were laced with jealousy and suspicion, each one a spark threatening to ignite the powder keg of emotions. As the conversation grew more heated, Jaydes' demeanor reportedly changed. His calm facade crumbled, revealing the anger simmering beneath the surface. He became increasingly aggressive, pacing the room and yelling at the victim. His voice echoed through the small apartment, each word a dagger aimed at her heart. The victim said that she tried to de-escalate the situation, but Jaydes was inconsolable. Her attempts to calm him only seemed to fuel his rage, his accusations growing more vicious with each passing moment. He accused her of cheating on him and said that she had ruined his life. His words were a torrent of pain and betrayal, each one a testament to the depth of his anguish. The night that had begun with a simple intention had now turned into a nightmare, a tragic tale of love gone awry. Section 5. Fleeing the scene. After the attack, Jaydes disappeared. He knew the police would be after him, and he was desperate to avoid capture. He called a friend, a young man named Marcus, who had always been loyal to a fault. Marcus hesitated when he heard Jaydes' voice on the other end of the line, but he ultimately agreed to help his friend. Marcus picked up Jaydes from a gas station on the outskirts of town. Jaydes was covered in blood, his clothes torn and stained. He was in shock, muttering to himself and staring blankly out the window as Marcus drove. They ended up at Marcus's cousin's house, a small rundown place on the other side of the county. For 3 days, Jaydes hid out in the cramped, stuffy room, the curtains drawn tight. Marcus brought him food and water and tried to get him to talk, but Jaydes remained withdrawn, haunted by the events of that night. He knew he couldn't run forever. He knew he had to turn himself in, but the thought of facing the consequences of his actions was terrifying.
I'm not gonna lie, this nigga was talking about Draconian. If y'all don't know what that means, that's like a grimoire, demonic grimoire, like a book, demonic, all this demonic summoning, all that shit. He was heavily, Goita, that shit is the Solomon Lesser Key, that's all demonic entities. If you look into that shit, he was heavily demonic.
He does, or like is into the same shit he's into, like, and posts the same thing because he's his friend. You know, it's like, I don't think that Foley is like a.
But you gotta realize, like, once you partake in them things, it's not an aesthetic. He was partaking in them. You know what I mean? He had these things that he had, and he was partaking in it. All this witchcraft stuff, like, it's weird. It's like he opened himself up to possession, and some people don't believe it, but I do. I'm not gonna lie. It's really sick. It's weird.
Acid too.
Acid, all these different things.
For a while.
Yeah, he was opening himself up.
When you off that shit, bro, you can feel everybody's fucking. You can feel
exactly. You really can't.
And you'll believe that shit is real. You will have hallucinations off that fucking shit. That shit is fucking insane.
We know he has like mental problems too. Mental problems and the drugs and having that much money and not having any like role models or people like.